The snow fell softly on Christmas Eve, blanketing the old stone church in white. Stained glass windows glowed warm with the candlelight from the service inside, casting colored shadows on the steps where Amelia sat alone. She was 24 years old, barefoot in a thin beige dress that offered no protection from the cold. Her long blonde hair was tangled, and her feet were numb against the frozen stone. She'd been on the streets for 3 months now, ever since she'd lost her job and couldn't make rent. Pride had kept her from asking for help, and now pride was all she had left inside the church. Families sang carols and celebrated together. Amelia listened through the heavy doors, remembering Christmases from her childhood when her mother was still alive. When the world felt safe and warm, she didn't hear the footsteps approaching until a small voice spoke high. Amelia looked up to see a little girl, maybe 2 or 3 years old, standing in front of her. The child wore a bright red coat with white fur trim and had blonde hair pulled up in a tiny ponytail. She was looking at Amelia with the open curiosity only children possess. "You look sad," the little girl said. Amelia tried to smile. "I'm okay, sweetheart. Where are your parents?" The little girl pointed vaguely toward a man in a gray suit standing a few feet away. He was looking at his phone, not yet aware that his daughter had wandered off. "Hi, Molly," the little girl announced. "What's your name, Amelia?" Molly tilted her head, studying Amelia's face with those innocent eyes. Then she did something unexpected. She opened her arms wide. "I think you need a hug," before Amelia could respond. Molly wrapped her small arms around her neck. The embrace was warm and pure, and something inside Amelia broke open. Tears she'd been holding back for months suddenly spilled down her cheeks. "Molly." The man in the gray suit rushed over, finally noticing his daughter was gone. "Molly, you can't just run off like that." "I'm so sorry, ma'am." He stopped when he saw Amelia's face. The tears, the thin dress, the bare feet in the snow. His expression shifted from embarrassment to concern. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. Amelia wiped her eyes quickly, ashamed. "I'm fine. Your daughter is very sweet." The man knelt down beside them, his expensive suit touching the snowy ground. "I'm Julian Price, and you've met Molly." Gave her a hug. "Daddy," Molly said proudly. She was sad. Julian looked at Amelia more carefully now, taking in her situation. She waited for the judgment, the discomfort, the quick retreat. Instead, he simply asked, "When did you last eat?" The question was so direct, so unexpectedly kind, that Amelia couldn't lie. "Yesterday morning." Julian stood and extended his hand. "Please, come with us. There's a diner around the corner that's open tonight. Let me buy you dinner." Amelia shook her head. "I couldn't. You don't even know me." "Molly knows you," Julian said with a slight smile. "And her judgment is usually better than mine. Please, it's Christmas Eve, and no one should be alone and hungry tonight." Molly tugged on Amelia's hand. "Please come. Daddy makes bad jokes, but the food is good." Despite everything, Amelia laughed. It was the first time she'd laughed in months. 20 minutes later, they sat in a warm booth at a small diner. Molly between them coloring on a placemat, while Amelia ate the first real meal she'd had in days. "I'm sorry about my appearance," Amelia said quietly. "This isn't how I imagined spending Christmas Eve." "You don't need to apologize for anything," Julian said. "Life takes unexpected turns. I know that better than most." "What do you mean?" Julian glanced at Molly, making sure she was absorbed in her coloring. "Molly's mother left us when Molly was 6 months old. Said she wasn't ready to be a mother. I've been raising her alone ever since." "I'm sorry," Amelia said. "Don't be. Molly is the best thing that ever happened to me. She taught me what really matters." He paused. "Can I ask what happened to you?" Amelia hesitated, then found herself telling him everything. Her mother's death 2 years ago, the medical bills that drained her savings, losing her job when the company downsized, the eviction, the months of trying to find work while living on the streets. I have a degree in social work, she said bitterly. I spent 4 years learning how to help people, and now I can't even help myself. That's not a failure of character, Julian said firmly. That's a failure of systems. You fell through cracks that shouldn't exist. You sound like you know something about those cracks. I run a foundation that tries to address them. Affordable housing, job placement, support services for people in crisis. Julian leaned forward. Amelia, I'd like to help you. Not charity, but opportunity. We have a transitional housing program and job placement services. Would you be willing to let us help? Amelia felt her throat tighten. Why would you do this? You don't know me, because Molly saw something in you worth hugging, and because I believe everyone deserves a second chance. Julian smiled. Also, because we desperately need social workers who actually understand what people in crisis are going through. Someone with your background and experience could help others who are exactly where you are tonight. Molly looked up from her coloring. Does this mean Amelia is coming home with us? Not exactly, sweetheart, but it means we're going to help her find her own home. Molly considered this, then nodded seriously. Good, because she's nice, and nice people should have houses. Amelia laughed again, tears mixing with the sound. Thank you, both of you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let us help, Julian said, simply. That's all. 3 months later, Amelia stood in her small but warm apartment, getting ready for her first day as a case manager at the Price Foundation. She'd spent the winter in transitional housing, rebuilding her life piece by piece. She'd gotten her certifications updated, worked with a counselor to process the trauma of homelessness, prepare for this moment. Her phone buzzed with a text from Julian. Good luck today. Molly says to tell you she's proud of you. Amelia smiled. Over the past months, she'd grown close to both of them. Julian had been respectful and supportive, never pushing, simply present. And Molly had become the little light of her life, always ready with a hug and an observation that cut right to the heart of things at the office. Amelia met her first client, a young mother who'd recently become homeless with her 2 children. The fear in the woman's eyes was achingly familiar. I know this is scary, Amelia said gently. I know you feel invisible and ashamed and like you'll never climb out of this. But I need you to hear something. A year ago, I was exactly where you are, and someone helped me. Now I'm going to help you. The woman started to cry, and Amelia handed her tissues, remembering how it felt to be seen for the first time after months of invisibility. That evening, Julian invited Amelia to dinner at his home. Molly had insisted on helping cook, which meant there was flour everywhere and the pasta was slightly overcooked, but it was perfect. How was your first day? Julian asked. Hard. Beautiful. Exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Amelia watched Molly arrange vegetables on her plate into a smiley face. I keep thinking about that night at the church. What if Molly hadn't wandered over? What if you hadn't stopped? I think about that too, Julian admitted. But I believe some meetings aren't accidents. Molly looked up. I remember. You were sad on the steps, and I hugged you. You did, Amelia said, her voice thick. And that hug changed my whole life. Hugs are magic, Molly said matter-of-factly. Daddy says so. Julian caught Amelia's eye across the table and smiled. She's not wrong. It's a year later, on Christmas Eve. Amelia stood outside that same church, but everything was different. She wore a warm coat and held Molly's hand while Julian stood beside her. They'd come to deliver gifts to the church's homeless outreach program, donations from the foundation and personal items Amelia had chosen herself. This is where we met, Molly said, pointing at the steps. It is, Amelia agreed. Akala. And now we're a family. Amelia looked at Julian, who had proposed just last month. Yes, sweetheart. Now we're a family. Julian squeezed her hand. You know, Molly still takes credit for all of this. She should, Amelia said. She's the one who saw someone worth helping when everyone else walked by. She's the one who offered a hug when I needed it most. Molly tugged on Amelia's coat. Can we go inside? I want to light a candle for the people who don't have homes yet. Amelia knelt down in the snow, not minding the cold this time. That's a beautiful idea. You know what? You have the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. Molly hugged her, just like she had that first night. Hugs are magic, remember? As they walked into the warm church together, Amelia thought about all the people still sitting on cold steps, waiting for someone to see them. She thought about the foundation's work, the families they'd helped, the lives being rebuilt. One hug from a little girl in a red coat had started all of this. One moment of pure, innocent kindness had rippled outward into something that was changing hundreds of lives. Sometimes, the smallest gestures carry the greatest power. Sometimes, a child sees what adults miss, and sometimes, all it takes to change everything is someone brave enough to offer what everyone needs. But few are willing to give a moment of connection, a touch of warmth, a simple hug that says, "You matter." If this story touched your heart, please like and share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe for more stories about the life-changing power of simple kindness. Leave a comment when unexpected compassion changed your path.